family. Boo, 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 boo. My name is Itumeleng Sekhu-Pedi, and I'm a young, beautiful woman, 36 years old. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a child of God, the daughter of the Most High. I've got a couple of companies that I run, IS Candles SA, which I launched in 2017. I've got IS Wines SA, and I also have a foundation called the Itumeleng Sekhu Foundation, where we go around schools motivating young girls and boys on reaching their full potential, and them just finding purpose that lives within them and that light that lives within them. And I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an aspirational speaker. I'm a podcaster. Sure, I do so many things, but what I'm focused on right now are the candles, which I'm just bringing hope and light into people's lives. I believe that a candle tried to burn me, it also tried to ruin me, but that very same candle lives within me, and that candle is shining bright. And therefore, I'm here to enlighten other people's candles that lives within them so that we can all shine bright.
Diversified Game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you heard it right. From being burned from a candle to having a candle business, having a wine business, which I'm going to be asking about the wine business because I want to have it and add it to my collection, to the fellow. Welcome to Diversified Game. How are you doing?
I'm good. And how are you doing, Kellen?
Always blessed by the best over here. And I almost want to start with the wine because I saw it to be able to bottle up wine, put it together, that process is not easy. But we can start wherever you want to start. Where would you like to start on how we even got here on this journey?
I think I'll start with the accident, and I'll tell you why. It's because I got burned when I was 11 months old. So it happened in the beginning of my own journey as a human being. And every single thing that I'm doing now, it is because of me bringing hope and healing from that fire, right? So I got burned from a candle when I was 11 months old. I was sleeping on the bed, and the candle then fell over, and I lost my right hand as well as 4 fingers on my left, and my face was scarred as well as the right side of my body. I was then in a coma for 3 months. I was then in hospital for another 3 years after that coma. And from 11 months until I was around 15 years old, I've had a total of 104 surgeries just to fix me up. My nose, my mouth, my brain skulls were showing. My ear was completely burnt off. So this is actually a man-made, ear. But life for me really started when I was around 9 years old, and a fellow learner of mine in class said to me that you're so burnt, you look like a franchise meat. And that comment made me feel like there is absolutely no way in life that I'll ever be beautiful, and therefore I just need to die. And from that moment on, I then tried to commit suicide 3 times. My very first suicide attempt, I was grade 5. My second suicide attempt, I was in grade 11. No, I was 15 years old. And then my last suicide attempt, I was in grade 11. I then, from that moment, I was like, I don't want to be here. I feel like I'm a ghost, and therefore I don't want to live. So after trying to commit suicide 3 times, in 2007, a huge metamorphosis moment happened in my life. And what had happened was that I met Jesus Christ. So my spiritual journey of having a relationship with Jesus is what got me to the other side of that pain. So from a girl who was trying to commit suicide 3 times to a girl who's like, oh damn, so what had happened to me had happened for a purpose. Oh my goodness. And that's when Christ said to me that your purpose is to bring hope and healing to my people. And I really didn't get it at the time until I went to varsity, studied, the visual communications, which is basically media. I think the university work was just trying to be fancy. And then I then started working in the media industry for a couple of years. Um, and and then after working in the media industry, TV, radio, and so forth, I then started my own foundation called the Itumeleng Sekhu Foundation. And through that, with my partnership with Dove Unilever, we then started traveling across schools, motivating young girls and boys. And that's when I realized what my purpose meant. Because during that conversations with those learners, that's when I found out that in actual fact, many children, many people, including grown-ups, that because we all have a story to tell, that we all have got scars within. And that's when my purpose then started making sense, because then it was like, oh, so my purpose, my scars, they are external, but every single person has got a scar within. And therefore, bringing hope and healing became what I started living on, because I realized in that moment that so many people are not reaching their full potential because of their excuses, in life, because of them feeling sorry for themselves, because of them just always just coming up with a reason why they are not doing something. And I was like, honey, if I can do all of those things with one hand and one finger, then so can you. I mean, you've been blessed with 10 fingers and 2 hands. So that has been my purpose, just to help people just find their power that lies within themselves, so that they themselves too can reach their full potential. So therefore, the wines, which was actually launched in 2021, called Aya's Wines, the tagline of my wine is define what life is. And define what life is means that life happens to all of us. It is what it is. It's called life. However, as an individual, you need to be able to define what you want your life to become. You know what I mean? That life can define life for you, but you as an individual, you need to be able to define your own life.
Hello everyone. Come along with London and Sydney as they show you around the vibrant country of Cameroon. We explore the heart of Africa through the eyes of London and Sydney. Two explorers who journey across the great city of Yaoundé, exploring its rich culture, vibrant market squares, cultural heritage, and wildlife. With giggles and excitement, London and Sydney Explore Cameroon takes you on a fun-filled adventure, providing insight into the country's culture and traditions through the pages of this book. It's packed with exciting stories and super cool facts about Cameroon that will make you go, wow. Get your copy now, available on Amazon and in libraries near you. There's only one easy way to experience the exploration of Cameroon, and it's through London and Sydney. Don't wait, get yours.
Before you go too deep into the wines, let me ask, because with the depression or the mental health that you dealt with as a young person, hopefully to help somebody, was it because you stood out and maybe thinking that you would not have whatever a normal childhood is, where I know you have a child and maybe you thought, well, nobody will ever want me, or I'll never be able to finish university, which you did. Like, was it all the doubt in your head that many people have, whether they, have one arm, two arms, or not burned? But what was it exactly? Or was it like constant teasing? What was it? Because somebody's battling that right now.
For me, it was the constant teasing. And I think at the moment, because I was still also trying to find my own identity as a human being, as a young girl, and I lived life like many other people do, which is a life of no purpose. You know what I mean? There's actually a quote that says that there are many people who just exist. A lot of people are not living. That was me, because I didn't have a purpose. And there's a quote that say that that without vision, my people perish, right? So now,
Mhm.
without a vision, you will perish because you don't know what it is that you have to do in life. And therefore, for me, that was the case because of now, here are people teasing me. There are too many voices around me. And now, because of those voices, I'm feeling like there's no way in life that I will ever amount to anything, especially with what life has already thrown at me, which is the scars, which is the burns, which is this, which is that. And and I think the constant teasing made me feel like there's no way that anybody else will be able to accept me for who I am. You know what I mean? And that happened because I realized that much later on, because when I went to university, one of the subjects that I studied was psychology. And that's when I learned that what I had projected upon people on how they should receive me is how I was projecting it upon myself. So then that's how I saw myself. So the moment you believe that nobody else out there can love you, it's because, honey, you don't even love yourself. You know what I mean? And there's no way that I would have loved myself because, one, I had no vision, I had no purpose, I had no reason why I was even here. For me, it was just like, why am I even here? I just want to die. This has happened to me. I don't want to be here.
But what you're saying, again, when I say somebody needs to hear this, because there's, here in the States, we just got TikTok taken away, and
Yeah,
people are thinking their purpose was TikTok. They think
yeah,
their whole future and everything was TikTok, knowing that there's other social medias, but there's other things you can do in life. So this is a prime example. I wonder how much of that was, given what happened to you as a baby versus just being young and not knowing Jesus, not knowing scripture, not having any anchor. You said quotes, we say scripture when you say, my people
mm,
perish for a lack of knowledge. So I just wonder on how much of that, because so many people can relate to that because
yeah.
it's their story as well. Coming up though, were things more difficult, do you think not having a right arm? Was it,
Yeah.
or is it just something that because this is how it's always been, I just got used to it and I don't even know what I would do if I had, two?
Yeah. No, 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 absolutely. I was privileged in the type of school that I went to. So my mom took me to a physically challenged school, and it was the best, of its kind, right here in South Africa. And we had physiotherapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, any therapists that you could think of, we had. So from nursery school, which is when I started my nursery school, up until I matriculated, we always had support in terms of what we need to do. And I think the beautiful thing with having professional people around you is that you know that they are not there to help you in terms of, oh, let me help you wear that dress. For example, they are there to teach you how to do it so that you become um, independent. So therefore, I've been taught and I know now how to use my one hand. So even if I had two hands right now, I wouldn't be able to use them.
And with, and I know you said your ear, um, even going to a school like this, were you in South Africa? Were you, because here in the States, sometimes people think, oh, it's because I'm Black or because I'm this. It's, were you around other Black people? Were they the one teasing? Because I know you speak Afrikaans as well and three other
Yes,
languages. So you were around Black people and it was the Black people that were teasing you.
it was everybody. It was white kids, it was black kids, but I think the beautiful thing is with being in a physically challenged school is that because we all have something challenged in terms of the physical, that we could all just tease one another. So with me, with that school, I was actually the first black child to get into that school because I got into that school in 1994. And that's when, apartheid had just ended. And therefore, having Black kids in Model C schools or multiracial schools was not really a thing at the time. However, with me, my mom in 1994, she had the audacity to go to Nelson Mandela at the time to say that, hey, my child is burnt and I need a school that will be suitable for her. And therefore, that's when Nelson Mandela's PA then referred us to Hope School. So they had no choice but to just, enroll me in. But there's not even a time that I was ever faced with racial discrimination at that school. It's just always just been such a beautiful moment for me. Even with the kids, honestly, it was just a disability that they were teasing. You know what I mean? So it was never about race.
I'm not gonna let you just gloss over that your mother just went to Nelson Mandela. Like anybody can just do that. I wanted to have like an ow moment from Sway in the Morning. Like your mother has to be somebody special to be able to just walked over. And
It
so
was like, I'm going to the union buildings, okay? Because my child is like this and I need a special school. And this man is supposed to be able to tell me where I need to take my child. Like my mom is that woman. I went to private hospitals in 1989 when Black people were not even allowed to be there without a medical aid. That's my mom. And my mom just went to companies upon companies saying that my child is in hospital and I need funding. So from the moment I got burned in 1989, my mom, one, she resigned from her profession. She was a teacher at the time. She resigned from there to take care of me fully. Even though she had 3 other children, she was just like, I'm just gonna have to take care of my child. And my mom, single-handedly would knock on doors that not any other person had the audacity to knock on, to get funding for me for surgeries, operations, and honestly speaking, going to a private hospital in 1989 is a shocker. And that's the type of woman that my mom is.
okay, and to have 104 surgeries, 3 other kids, and she quit her profession. She must have been teaching the Queen or Winnie and Nelson's kids. I mean, that's amazing. And I know you write books, so I don't want you to tell the full story because I want you to put it in the book how my mother did it. Our mama has her own book, but that is that is amazing. That is amazing stuff. Now, your mother, is she still alive?
Yes. Yeah.
So
She's still alive.
Thank God for that. So you guys have a book you can write together. I see it if you haven't. What about forgiveness? I don't know if it was your mother's fault, the nanny's fault, caretaker. How did you deal with forgiving whoever, because you were too young to a candle, candles fall, unfortunately. But how did you deal with the forgiveness part of that? And do you still talk to that person, or have you been able to tell that person you forgive them? Because I'm sure they feel awful.
I've never had to deal with the forgiveness because I didn't see that person as a problem. I think for me, I was already facing so many battles, and one of them was my own low self-esteem, at the time. So now even having to go on to say, oh my God, this is your fault, I didn't have time for that. I was already dealing with so much, in terms of like my own self-esteem, my own purpose, the lack thereof, and so forth. But my mom did struggle a lot with forgiving herself. And I think it's only when she started seeing me be successful and I started having this conversation with her to say that, Mom, I've never held anything against you. You have to forgive yourself. This thing happened because God allowed it to happen. He didn't make it happen, but He allowed it to happen. And therefore, there's nothing that you could have done to stop it from happening. So you have to forgive yourself, but also life has turned out this way for me. And who knows, had I probably not been burnt at 11 months old, I would have probably not been the type of person that I am today. So I think she forgave herself, or she's still dealing with it. But I know for a fact that her and I have had this conversation a lot of times, to say that you have to forgive yourself, because I am who I am today because of that fire.
Are you a successful entrepreneur or one in training? You've got the vision, but do you have the right partner to build your brand, your team, and your future online and off? At CPRfirm.com, we offer expert consulting, financial guidance, and life coaching because we believe in doing life with our clients. After all, what is it for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Founded by Callan Cash Coleman, we help our clients not only succeed, but plan to retire rich. Your business deserves the best. Start building your legacy today at CPRfirm.com.
And I usually do this later in the interview, but because I know your story is so much about giving back, have you been able to, to that same school or schools like that? I want to know, what is your community give back that you're doing, or one that you would like to do in the future?
I've definitely gone back to my school more than once, actually, to go and motivate those kids, to say that I'm also a project of this school, and therefore what you see me here today in the media doing great things and so forth, then so can you. You know what I mean? Just to show them an example of a person who attended the very same school, who is now successful, to say that you can also do this as well. So my foundation, we have adopted 250 schools where we go and we help these kids with workshops, with trainings, and so forth, just to help them have leadership skills, self-love skills, which is very, very important. Identity workshops, we do self-leadership, we do so many workshops for these kids, to say that there's so much that is entailed in your story, where you can now start reaching your full potential and not look at the problems that you're currently going through. Because there are kids that we will go to schools where, like, kids are in terrible situations, where it's like shacks upon shacks, child-headed households. There's just so much pain that's going on in South Africa, and I think a lot of other, like, countries as well, where some of these kids are just like, I didn't even have breakfast this morning coming to the school. And therefore it is my job, as a person who has been through so much pain, to say that, hey, listen, I've got through a lot of pain, and look at me now. So it's basically to say that don't give up, don't quit. You know what I mean? And me and my team, we will hold your hand to make sure that you get to the place where you are meant to get to. It is a lot of money to do it. We are looking at like 9-10 million rands a year. So we have stopped doing 250 schools. We have now gotten it down to, I think, like 100 schools. So if we can get funding for it from corporates, that would be great. Yeah.
Oh, and as a child, a lot of times, I think it's globally where kids will play the card game. Hey, that's my car. Or someone will say, hey, but I'm richer than you. And, they'll look at whatever, if they have a lot or if they don't have a lot, or they'll also look at, well, at least I'm not as, I don't have to wear the same clothes. Did you deal with that in the school, where people would look at people's ailments and say, well, at least I'm not this? And how did that work? Because you said everybody had something at the school, but
Yeah,
my personal thought is everybody has something and everybody is crazy. So
exactly.
how did that work? Well, I got at least one hand and someone else doesn't have any hands or any legs.
Exactly. Yes. No. It would be exactly that. So we would just tease one another. So if somebody would tease me, then I would tease them back. You know what I mean? So it would just be us just teasing one another. And I always say that because of the pain that I went through in terms of teasing, I became a bully myself. So now, because of that pain and because of that low self esteem, I wanted to get back at other people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I became one of the popular girls at school simply because I became a bully.
I get
You
that.
know,
You give me a bully personality. You look like you don't take no mess. Even when I look and I'll tell you off air something because I'm thinking of jokes I might write for you because
yeah,
I can just hear something that you would say and you say, wait, you say this about my face, but okay, at least
yeah,
I don't smell like that, right? And
exactly, yes,
yeah, but
yeah,
when I see your pictures online, you guys don't get it twisted. I know the majority of you are listeners. Go over to YouTube and see this wonderful face and this wonderful vibe. Because if you go on her social media, she is modeling every chance she gets. She has these hats that they are probably jealous of in the UK. I saw that red one that you had, and I'm like, yeah, that's fly. But you
yeah,
really get your model on.
yeah.
Do you talk to any of your former classmates and have any, testimonials that help them? They say, look, I've done it, and that maybe your testimony has helped somebody who was even your classmate, your age mate.
Um, I'm still in contact with a few of them, you know, but not a lot of them. But most of them, absolutely. But those that do make contact, I do have like really serious conversations with them, you know. And I've also had a lot of other children who have sent me DMs, you know, and so forth to say that, oh my God, we are so inspired by you, especially because we went to the same schools. You know what I'm saying? So now it's sort of like if you can do it, then we know that we can also become successful. You know, but I think it's so important, like you said, that I'm now modeling and I'm now um, doing this and that. The other thing as well that has become very hard for a lot of people is that I've always had this vibrant, loud personality. And therefore, people didn't know that even when I was at school, that I was struggling with myself because I've always been this person. So they were like, you had a low self-esteem? Never. You know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
saying that today because sometimes we might miss people who are going through depression because they're vibrant, they're loud, they laugh loud, they're this, they're that, only to find out that even if they are still doing that, a lot of people still go home and they're crying on their pillows every single day. So therefore, even with a lot of people that send me messages today and they're like, we went to the same school and I'm so inspired by you, it's more of like I've always been inspired by you, even when we were still at school, because of the type of personality that you've always had. You know what I'm saying? And I always say to these people that you don't know what I was going through in that moment. You know what I'm saying? There was so many things that I was struggling with, and that's why I became a bully. No normal person just becomes a bully. You become a bully because you yourself, you're wounded.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what
How
I
did
mean?
that how did that impact, your dating life? Because that had to go through your mind as a young person, like, will anybody accept me? Will anybody want to be around me? And again, these are things that I think most teenagers think of because you just don't know. And so how did that impact your dating life? Because again, you have a child, and there's people who have nothing wrong with them and say, I'm 40, I'm 50. I never had a child. Nobody ever wanted to have a child with me.
Look, for me, I've never really struggled in terms of dating. I think my personality always just spoke on my behalf. However, when as I was growing up, I did have fear of, will I date the person that I actually want to be with, or will I have to settle for less?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
think that was one of my own personal battles that I've had up until I started that healing journey that I went through with Christ, because it is in that moment when I then started finding my identity in Christ that said to me that, oh no, I deserve the very best. You know what I mean? I deserve this type of man. I deserve to be loved in this manner. I deserve to be spoken to in this manner. And it's only then when you start loving yourself, when you see love and you allow the right type of person to be with you, because it is in that woundedness, it is in those scars where you just allow anything and anything to date you, and therefore anything and anything can hurt you.
Yeah, yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
anything, I definitely do. And so the dating, were you a late bloomer, early bloomer? Did you wait till you got into university? Maybe mother had, tight reins on you and she wasn't letting you out of her sight as a teenager.
I did date at school, um but I was a late bloomer because I became a Christian when I was in matric. So for me, it was, I'm not gonna have sex before marriage. I'm not gonna do this before marriage. Da, 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 da. But even while I was waiting, I was still dating.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there were
Yeah.
just certain things that I stayed away from. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to make it clear because people say, okay, I heard a child, I heard dating. Dating means something else. And then you say, no sex before marriage. Were you able to keep that? Did you get married and then have a child? How did that work?
So I didn't keep it. So just as I was leaving matric, no, not matric, sorry, my third year of university, my apartment got broken into, and they took everything that I had. And I was still a very immature Christian that blamed everything, on God. Why did this happen? Why did you allow this to happen? Oh my God, I can't believe you. Da, 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 da. And I was so angry at God that I was like, I'm even gonna give away my virginity. Da, 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 da. You know, and then I met this guy, and I was very, very vulnerable at the time. I was mad, I was upset, and I was just like, you know what? Yeah, screw it, type of thing. And then I met him, and then we had twin boys. Um, and then we separated for a while, and then we got back together, and we eventually got married. So I am married to the father of my children, but we did have these children before we got married. Yeah.
And you're married to someone who he looks like he could be like an entertainer himself.
Yeah.
Is he an entertainer? He looks like he could be a presenter, a musician. There's personality and style that he has as well.
No, not even. He's very quiet. He's quite the opposite of me. He's in the media industry as well, but he is in post production. So he's more like the quiet one, that will do work behind the scenes. I'm more of like, hi, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So we've got two different personalities, but I mean, he's the stern one. He's the rational one, really, because I'm more of an impulsive person. So I'm like, yay, let's go on holiday today. you know Yeah.
Are you the one who matched his tie and made sure, from his cufflinks or his thing? I saw your wedding pictures, and it was everything was matching. That's why I said he looked like he was the
Oh yeah,
star
absolutely. I'm
himself.
like, honey, you have to look good, okay?
with with that, and now you're talking, okay, I have my life, I have my husband, I have my kids, I have my businesses. How have you managed to navigate all of that? Because getting into the wine business, I would assume, I've been to wineries in South Africa. It's the same thing if you're in Napa. It's not a cheap business. Getting into candles is one thing, and we understand, why, from the history, but the wine business is it's like a brutal business because you have to have so much. I mean, you have to have access to the people growing. Have you bought your own, acreage where you're growing all your own stuff? Tell us, how did you get into that business? It's not easy.
So with the wines, I started the wines because of a song called New Wine by Hillsong.
Okay.
So I was worshiping to this song, and the words just touched me. And I just want to go through them with you guys, just so that you guys can, hear exactly what I mean by it. But it's because of this song that I was like, you know what? I have to have my own wine label, because for me, it was a matter of, again, bringing hope and healing to people. And the lyrics say, in the crushing, in the pressing, you are making new wine. In the soil, I now surrender, because you are breaking new ground. So I yield to you, into your careful hand. When I trust you, I don't need to understand. Make me your vessel, Lord. Make me an offering. Make me whatever it is that you want me to be. I came here with nothing, but all you have given me, Jesus, bring new wine out of me. And then it says here at the end, which is just honestly the epitome of the wine. And then it says, because where there is new wine, there is new power. You know what I mean? Me having to find that power that I did. Because where there is new wine, there's new freedom. And I always say that, from a person who couldn't even look at herself in the mirror to a person who now talks and motivates hundreds and thousands of people on a daily basis, that is what we call new freedom. And the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames, that low self-esteem, me feeling like I don't belong, me feeling like, why am I even here? I lay down my old flames to carry your new fire today. You know what I mean? I'm now carrying God's new fire today. And where there is new wine, there's new power, there's new freedom, and the kingdom is here. I lay down my old flames to carry your new fire today. So for me, it was that, like when this song just, for me, it was, this song is speaking to me, and I have to give people great wine to say that, lay down your old flames, honey. You know what I mean? Lay down your old flames. Find your power. Find your freedom. Because where there is new wine, there's power. There's freedom. And look at me. I'm an epitome of what power is. I'm an epitome of what freedom is. You know what I mean? I walk, babe. I walk everywhere with freedom to say that I'm free. I'm free from my old shackles. I'm free from that slavery of feeling like I don't even belong here. I'm free from ever feeling like I will never ever be loved. I'm free from my own negative mindset. I'm free from that. And now today, I'm living this powerful life of a person. There's a beautiful quote by Lao Tzu, and he says that mastering others, now that is called strength. But mastering yourself, now that is called true power. And I am living in my true power. I've laid down those old flames. I've laid down everything. And I'm now living in a state of mind that says I can do anything that I want to do.
I love the testimony, and you talk about the freedom, but getting to the wine business surely isn't free. We're going to go
No.
We're going to get into the steps of, because you could white label it somebody else's, thing, but you could also go to the vineyard, and there are plenty. No, I don't want to say plenty, but we've been to a few Black vineyards out there. The Sisters of, I can't remember, Sisters something in South Africa. But talk about the steps, because a lot of people globally want to get into that. South Africa has some very good wine. I enjoy it more than, I'm from California originally. I enjoy getting South African wine more than getting something from Napa Valley. But, talk about the steps on how to do that, because you had to not just battle, not maybe knowing everything and being a Psalm. Maybe you are a Psalm, but you also have to deal with, I have to deal with my family, taking money out of my family's, household to get into this new venture. Talk about that journey a little bit, and then tell us when we'll have the book so they can hear the full journey.
So both my husband and I invested in the wine business. So what we did was we found a vineyard that we wanted to work with, because we wanted pinotage, and pinotage that we wanted a specific one which was bush vine. So what we did was we went to the Stellenbosch and we worked with the specific vineyard, and we created our own bush vine pinotage wine, right, in their vineyard. So for 2 years we were there saying, oh no, not this one, you know what I'm saying? To create that perfect one that we felt like this is what we wanted to get to our clients. So it took us 2 years to do that, and it took a lot of sacrifices, like you're saying, that it requires so much money. So we had to sacrifice a lot. So we had to sacrifice, instead of buying a house, we can rent like an apartment, so that we can take this money and invest it. And that's what we did. It's a long process, because we stay in Johannesburg, and the vineyards, the perfect pinotage wine that you want is in Cape Town. So now we had to travel between Joburg and Cape Town all the time to go and find that perfect taste. You know what I mean? And it's only after 2 years, in 2021, in November, when we launched our wines called Ayers Wines. And we launched 2 ranges. We launched the bush vine, the pinotage, and then we also launched sweet rosé.
I can hear one of the people we've brought about 100+ people to South Africa on trips with clients. And I can hear them saying, oh, boo-hoo for her. She has to go to Joburg to Cape Town so many times. She's really suffering. Oh man, that's called, again, that's called, when you're living in your purpose, you don't know, but that's such a beautiful thing. It's like, yes, Joburg to Cape Town, quick flight, keep going. You buy something in Cape Town eventually if you haven't already. And so with the wine, how can we help you get it in, more stores in South Africa, to Malawi, to Zambia, to all the way here in South Florida and beyond? What can we do to get, your product in our bars?
I think if you can order them, that would be great. And then we would get our investment back. You know what I mean?
Where? Do we have to go to the distributor? Can we go on your website? Where?
To us, so with the wines, you can speak to me directly, or to my husband. So if you say to us, for example, that you want like 100 cases, we can definitely get that to you. So if you want like 100 cases, like a pinotage, we can definitely get that to you. We can ship it to you safely anywhere around the world. Yeah.
Okay. Now, 100 cases, that's somebody who has a serious drinking problem, or they just have a lot of bars or grocery stores. Can they do, even if it costs more, can they get it from a distributor, or can they order it online? And I don't know the legalities and how you guys are set up. And they say, look, I want to start with a bottle or two. Is that possible?
Yes, that is also possible. Yeah, so we do have a website. It's www.iswines.co.za. It is down at the moment, so if anybody does want one or anything, then they can just send me a DM or so forth on social media. On Instagram, I'm at ITU_SEKHU.
Okay. And
Yeah.
links will be in the description, because the candle site is very clean, very, nice. Just put, so I could only assume that the wine is the same. The only issue, for us who are outside of the country, again, we just got TikTok taken away, and you guys are, so friendly in the BRICS nation. Who knows what the rules are? We're suffering here. Help.
Send help.
Yes. Yeah. Tell the people, because I can hear the people, say, why didn't you ask certain things? But, and so I'll ask them, because I can hear the audience. They're going to want to know, in a lot of your pictures and when you're speaking, I never see a prosthetic arm. And you go natural. You don't wear a lot of makeup. I think you have like one glam shot where you put, makeup on it when you have the braids. Talk about the reasoning behind that. Because my thought is, like I tell my wife, and my wife is a pure African from Cameroon, I say, I don't like all that. I don't want all that. I want how you came. That's how I want you. I don't want no makeup. A wig. They all end up disappearing after 20 years. She learned, like, okay, these wigs aren't gonna last. So for you, why don't you do that? Is it a personal thing, or is it, your husband doesn't like it? Tell us.
For me, it's a personal thing. It's because of my purpose, which is helping people to find their own beauty, and for me it was, if I'm going to preach something, I have to live it myself, and therefore I can't tell people that you're beautiful just the way you are, and then yet I'm wearing makeup or I'm wearing a wig. Why am I wearing a wig? You know what I mean? Do I feel more beautiful wearing the wig rather than with my own natural hair? And I think we need to get as many people to love themselves just the way they are. And for me, it was very important to say, I will be one of those public figures that will go out there, speak to people as bare and naked as I can be, to say, I am beautiful and so are you. And now, can you imagine the audacity of having somebody with a 70% face scarred saying, I'm so beautiful? And now, when you look at me and then you're like, hey, you actually are beautiful. And therefore, because of that, I'm now saying to people, so are you. You are also beautiful. You are stunning just the way you are. Because remember that makeup brands and makeup companies, they had to make women feel like they're not beautiful without makeup. That's how they managed to get that many billions. And therefore, it is now important for somebody like me to teach women that, hey, actually, you are beautiful even when you don't have makeup on, so that women can feel like, I don't need makeup. I mean, you hear so many women that says, oh, I'm so sorry, I look so crusty today, just because they don't have makeup on. And I'm like, excuse me, you look crusty because you don't have makeup on? You must be mad.
You're making the men's point online, who are always arguing how much makeup a woman is putting on. Sometimes I think those men want to put it on themselves. They get so upset. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of men. I think the majority, and I'll say at least of Black men, they don't want all that. Here in the States, I can tell you why. I mean, the men can put on that makeup and trick some guys. So people who want to see what a real face is, in the words of the great poet Kendrick Lamar, give me something real, like some stretch marks. You know, if you don't have stretch marks, you
Yeah,
haven't made it in life yet.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So we need to help women and men actually to love themselves just the way they are. And I think we live in such a fake society now where everything is so fake, where everybody just wants to look a certain way because they think that they will fit in. And without those things, they are not beautiful. And I think that is my problem. I mean, beauty, in the true emphasis of the word beauty, beauty actually means glowing. You know that? So
Mhm.
beauty actually means to glow. So therefore, beauty is not the makeup, beauty is not the wigs, beauty is not all of those things. Beauty is when you are glowing. Then they say you are beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, if people even can get to the root understanding of what the word beautiful even means, they would realize that beauty is not what the external says. The word beauty, in its true beauty and emphasis and epitome of the word, it means to glow. And therefore, you are glowing from where? From within. And when you see somebody glow, it's because they themselves have found that beauty that lies within them. And therefore, because of that beauty, they are now living it outwardly, and therefore they are now glowing. So you find so many people who are like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, yes, it's because I'm glowing from within. Why am I glowing? Because I've I've had to accept and love myself for who I am from within.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. So what do you think, you know, when you see everything so perfect and people saying, oh, this person is beautiful, this person is so beautiful, but everything from their lashes to their hair to their makeup to their booties to their breast, you know, everything is so fake. And people say, well, let's keep it real. Let's be honest. You know, I'm a Christian, which everybody is a Christian because I think the devil is the first one on some of them pews in some churches. But what is your word to, you know, women and I guess some men out there? Because you have men in South Africa who are wearing more makeup than the women, just like here in America. Um, you know, you catch them at the China Mall or the Mall of Africa. It doesn't matter. But what is your word to them? Is there a scripture that you can help them with? Is there maybe another, you know, quote or book?
I think for me, it's one by my book. It's titled What Did You See? And my book is a plain memoir about my own story. And it's basically it's how I started and how I battled with beauty and how I eventually got to the place where I'm like, I am beautiful and therefore I'm going to teach people what true beauty looks like. And because I'm teaching them what true beauty looks like, I'm going to live that life. So in this moment, if you check my videos, I'm barely wearing wigs. I'm not wearing those things. I'm always in my natural hair because I have to do what I'm teaching. I have to do what I'm speaking about. But also, um, sure, finding your beauty is when you start loving yourself. Every time when I see people just wearing all of these things and they're doing BBLs and they're doing all of this and they're changing their bodies and that is a sign of a huge low self-esteem. You know, that
Mm.
is a sign of a huge low self-esteem to say, I don't love myself the way that I am, and therefore I'm going to change it. So therefore, people need to get to a place where they start loving themselves again. And I think it's a word that we've used all the time, but people haven't gotten to a point where they start living it. People need to get to a place where they start loving themselves. Self-love, it's very rare these days. And when you see it, it looks scary. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, why are you like this? And it's like, no, but why are you not like this? So people need to get to a point where they start loving themselves again.
I need you to go deeper because not everybody has the same, we're not on the same algorithms, and some people don't know because they'll say, but you had 104 surgeries. Did you love yourself? And I would tell them these are medical necessities. These
Yes.
weren't vanity. So can you talk about that? Because, online, I'd hate for a troll because I follow trolls. Sometimes we follow them home too. That's a whole nother That's a whole nother thing. But tell your surgeries why you had them.
Look, my surgeries were medical because obviously now like my like nose is like this, my head is like this, my brain scars was off, my
The
ear
ear.
was like completely burnt off, and so forth. So for me, it wasn't cosmetic surgeries, it was medical surgeries just to get me to look as human as possible. Do you know what I mean? And with that being said, when I was 15 years old, my mother's medical aid offered to get me a plastic surgery, and I refused. And I said no, because I love myself the way that I am, but also I was also getting to love myself the way that I am. At that present moment, I don't know why I said no, but I knew that there was something wrong and therefore I was not going to do it. And it's only much later on when I said, thank God I didn't do it, because had I done it, I wouldn't be looking at people as me. I would have looked at people as somebody else. Because why do I want to cover my scars? Why do I want to cover the person that I now am? And therefore, I've refused a lot of things. Like you said, the prosthetic arm, I don't wear that. You know what I mean? I'm here, I'm bare, I'm showing my hand. It is the way that it is. My fingers are the way that they are. I don't wear prosthetic things. I'm just like, this is me, as bare and as naked as I am. This is what happened to me, and therefore I'm living my life with those scars. And my scars have turned into stars.
Mm.
You know why? Because I love them just the way they are.
And the fact that you can, you're able to accomplish things. Now, I think if somebody's out there and you feel like I need all that because life would be easier for me to do, because maybe, you need something, I say catch a football, and you feel like I want to be the first athlete that has a prosthetic. I have no judgment for anybody how they want to live their life. But if there was, those surgeries, they take a lot out of you. I've had, maybe a handful of them myself in life. They take a lot out of you. So could that have been you just knew the pain and the recovery that, as well? Because medical stuff, it's like we have to cover this up or your skin will be vulnerable. This is one of your most important pieces of your head. It is an important piece. But could it
Yeah,
also be
definitely.
what? Yeah.
Yeah. Look, for me, it was a matter of I don't want to change who I am, and I don't want to change the way that I look.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And therefore, I'm going to go to people the way that I am, and I'm going to love myself, and I'm going to allow other people to love me just the way that I am. And with that, even with the purpose, which is to bring hope and healing, it was exactly that because I love myself, I can now love on other people. Because you can't love other people if you don't love yourself. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
I I I can't tell other people to love themselves when I myself, I don't love myself. Everything here is fake. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's impossible. So therefore, I had to start loving myself first in order for me to help people to love themselves. And therefore, I'm saying, love everything about you. If you have one finger, love the fact that you have one finger. There must be a reason why you've got one finger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There must be a reason why you've got one finger. I mean, the scriptures say that, for I'm the author and the finisher of your faith. God wrote your story from the moment you were born in your mother's womb to where you are right now. And now you want to change yourself? Why?
Because they want to all look like Kim Kardashian, J
No
Lo. Are
way.
you? You fill in the blank. But I want the people, I want you to tell them where they can, again, get the book. Links will be in the description, where they can book you as a paid speaker, not
Yes.
this free 99. Hey, can you come to my school just because no, paid
Yeah.
speaker and everything else that you have going on. Again, links will be in the description, but I want them. She has a podcast, y'all. Go over there, subscribe to it. She has some guests I've been trying to get on. Some of them tell me I have to come back to South Africa. They don't do Zoom because they're Devos. But
Yeah.
that's, but give us the game on that. And I thank you for your time.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for having me. If people want to book me, they're more than welcome to DM me on social media. I'm mostly on Instagram, but all of my social media handles, I'm at ITU_SEKHU. And then my email address is itu@iscandlesa.com. That's my mail address. So people are more than welcome to send me an email there. Yeah. And then they can also send me an email at itu_sekhu@yahoo.com. Yeah.
You guys have followed this game all the way through all the advertising and everything. And we thank you for the support in purchasing, the products in there that keep this thing going and flowing. I know the majority, again, are listeners. Come over to the YouTube. Make some comments, give it a like, but most importantly, however you experience this podcast, I need you to share this game. It will change somebody's life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kelly Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.